The question that is asked: Dear Anon I, what can I do to accept who I really am and to let go of my false self? As long as you believe yourself to be your thoughts, your conditionings, the feelings, the self-portrait of the character that you have as the person strongly intact, the mind will find ways to protect itself from the unknown state, which is pure consciousness. The mind knows much things, but it does not know that motionless container of consciousness that everything exists within. So the mind, at a sense of survival and self-preservation, will do anything it can in its power to protect itself from the infinite. The mind will ask questions about steps to take and techniques to be able to get to that place of our divinity. But it is a trick to postpone the inevitable. It is a trick to delay meeting Source or God consciousness now. So the mind would develop the belief system called trying or making an effort to do that. And that creates a goal for the future to one day achieve what we consider as enlightenment or God realization. Trying is the way of saying that you are not ready to accept your divine nature, and so you need steps or processes, which is the amount of time your mind feels and believes it needs to feel worthy to dissolve into the light of presence. Ritualistic practices, techniques, certain doctrines or belief systems that come out of cultures or religions, as I've always stated, are not bad or negative. However, people do not need to cling to them as a permission slip in order to get in touch with their non-physical, infinite God self. The practices, the rituals, the trinkets do not have any independent power apart from you to make you spiritual, happy, at peace. They're like placebos. You don't have to learn to connect with who you are by using some excuse of a method that you have learned from your society, your particular brand of religion. You only have to be conscious of what you already are and embrace that through divine surrender or total trust. That is what's important. So, anybody who comes to me with this type of understanding, depending on what level of awareness they're operating or functioning on, I would say you can play this game of pretending to be the person and denying the presence or the source, the invisible, intangible aspect of your pure being that has made all of this possible. This is also your choice. I would say when you're ready, you'll knock it off. You will stop playing these mind games, these ego trips away from the self. And I would ask, do you prefer to be in that state where there's problems or there's issues believing yourself to be the person? Is this your preferred state? Because the reality of it is that it doesn't have to be if you don't want it to be. Let whatever experience you're coming through serve you in the way that you would rather want it or prefer it to be. And that would be a choice to stop listening and operating from the personality structures of your conditioned mind and surrender totally to your heart's truth. Once your conceptual sense of a personal I, your limitations, your boundaries, your material possessions, your old paradigms or belief systems are dropped from you, and there's no more clinging, you are left only with the deeper, incomparable, objectless state of pure being. But again, it would be a choice if you decide to put your attention to that or not. Because reality is pretty much the creation of what you put your attention to. You don't have to allow yourself to be trapped in an unconscious pattern of living from the aspect of personhood only, where you single out, separate, and you push out infinity from your being. To the mind, it is too overwhelming to try to control all that is. You are the divine presence mistaking yourself to be the person. And you have the power to decide whether you want to stay in the sense of limitation and powerlessness, disconnection and separation. As God, you can choose to experience that. You can explore those life themes in that manner. It may serve you to a point, but when you realize that these are misaligned thoughts and feelings that can only come through, it's not beneficial to the self to continue to hold on to stuck energies. It needs to be released, to be healed, so that you can become once again already whole, perfect, complete. This can only be done when you truly accept and surrender to who you really are and stop pretending to be what you're not. If you want to still pretend to be a human being exclusive from the universe, no one is going to stop you from doing that. As a matter of fact, that is part of the collective mind that most of us have agreed to sign up for this experience, to have a certain sense of amnesia from our supreme self. That's just part of the experiment. You needed to be able to taste this so that you can transcend it and go beyond it. That's all part of the grand design, the divine plan. So you'll have so many people expressing and exploring and experiencing what it's like through limitation, to being a sentient being. And most are not ready to wake up from the merry-go-round of the human life story, this dynamic dance of consciousness. Some are very comfortable and very relaxed in chasing after personal dreams, running away from personal fears, trying to collect more personal things to strengthen a certain separate sense of an identity, to say, this is me, this is mine. I am what I do, I am what I think, I am what I have. So if they're still in that state where they want to hold on to that, and they're not ready to wake up yet to recognize that they don't need to possess these things to strengthen their sense of a personal self, the fact of the matter is that you are all that is. In other words, you contain everything. So there is nothing apart or separate from you. There is only the delusion of a limited perspective or vantage point of view that, as the formless one life, intentionally decided to get lost in your own dream creation of form, which consists of polarity, time, limitation, and the body-mind, that experiences what it's like to feel apart, segregated, and somehow all of our focus and our energy is bent towards being a somebody, of being important in the eyes of others. We see ourselves through the measuring stick of what others have laid out for us. And this has started very early within the childhood years, of when you do good and when you please your parents or authorities, then you'll get rewarded. But if you do things that don't please other people, then you would get punished. And so there's this constant need to develop the ego to give you a sense of being identified with the crowd, to be liked, to be respected, to be admired, to fit in. When you're done with all of these things and you realize that it's a road that leads nowhere, and you drop it, then you'll take the time to go within and recognize that all that was ever needed to give you a sense of fulfillment, peace, and joy, that treasure was always contained within your infinite being. That's the blanket where everything else appears in. Nothing is apart from that. Nothing could be separate from the infinite. Nothing could be finite from the infinite, because if that's the case, then the infinite would not be infinite. By definition, infinite means contains all things. It's all pervasive. It's omnipresent. There's not a right or wrong, or good or bad. There's just choices, just experiences, the reality that you choose to entertain or create in this waking dream called life. As the student is ready, the teacher or teachings will appear. When you as the dream character are ready to wake up out of the dream, it will dissolve and you will wake up to who you always were and who you always will be. And that is the one life, social awareness.